The seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes, folks, welcome along. It is the Sunday Blether on the Boys Side bus. And no, obviously, I am not Reegan Stevenson. There's been a late substitution. You know, the sub board has gone up and Reegan's been taken off and I've been put in at the last minute because, yeah, scheduling conflicts all over the place today. Because normally, the Sunday Blether is on at about 11:30 on a Sunday, and you may notice it is 3 minutes past 2. So it's an afternoon start today. But yeah, Russell's working and yeah, Reegan can't make it for the 2 o'clock one. So yeah, we're all over the place. But I'll step in and I'll do the show, no problem. And of course, but there is a staple of the Sunday Blether on Mark Kearney, the judge. He's here as always to pass verdict on a very, very controversial one. Mark, how are you doing, mate?
I'm still buzzing after yesterday, mate. I feel like Celtic laid down a wee marker. Not to Rangers, but to Scottish football, to the VAR specialists, the referees who will do all in their powers to and even stuff without their powers yesterday. I mean, there was nothing to say that goal should be chopped off, and there was nothing to say that wasn't a penalty. But they found a way. But unfortunately for them, Celtic also found a way. Ange Postecoglou and his players found a way to win that match, and just I'm still buzzing about it, mate. That was. I agree with Terry. That was one of the most satisfying victories I've had in a very, very long time. Mate, what about you?
Oh, same, mate, same. And I'm looking forward to talking about this. I was quite happy when I got the message about Joy, come on, do us. I was like, yeah, I've got some things to say as well about that because that one will live long in the memory, sadly, for all the wrong reasons. Now, obviously, I'm very aware, Mark, that you were on PMP last night. So many of the viewers will have heard your excellent views on it. I caught up on it this morning, mate. But I thought, you know what, we'll get another person on for a fresh viewpoint. But I've got a funny feeling that this person will also have the very same views as us because I don't think many are going to, side with those decisions yesterday. But we've got David Logue joining us as well. It's a triple threat today on the Blether. David Logue, how you doing, mate? If you can hear
I'm
us.
good.
I'm
just making sure the microphone was working there, get all the technical issues that's usually
you're
surrounds us on a Thursday out of the way. I'm going good. I've just caught the tail end what you were saying there, and I'm probably going to have the same views as everybody else because I didn't catch the first half yesterday because I was working. I conveniently had a good 45 minutes blocked off for the second half through the back, so I managed to watch that, and There was a few choice words being screamed from the back of the shop yesterday.
Yeah.
Professionalism maybe I went out the window a little yesterday. But
No, it's quite right, mate. It was
Right.
fucking emotional. It's a very emotive thing, mate. And if you can't shout and swear at the telly, who can you shout at?
Exactly. So we'll be diving into more analysis now, because the dust is kind of settled on it now. You know, we're nearly 24 hours after it finished, but yeah, the emotions are still pretty high, because there's still the VAR comes in to help us, and it's gave us more questions than answers, basically. So yeah, we'll be talking about that. But before we go any further, of course, as the designated driver today, I must remind everybody to do all the good stuff, because it helps the channel massively with the YouTube algorithms. If you're first time on the bus and you like the content, and of course, we appreciate you subscribe. Of course, if you're a long time viewer of the bus, get a like in. What are you waiting for, guys? Come on, you know the drill by now. Hit that like button. Also, we always like the comment section to be active. So yeah, get involved in that. You know, we'll bring up comments throughout the show and get interactive with the viewers. And of course, if you wish to share a link to the video on your social media platforms after the show, or whatever, spread the word of the bus, then again, we'll appreciate it massively. And of course, you've got the option as well to become a member of the bus, just as a sort of nod to all the hard work that Russell puts in, because none of our content will ever be behind the paywall or on Patreon. It's just a sort of tip of the cap, basically, to the hard work that Russell puts in. But guys, we will now track on, and we will talk about, quite simply, it can be described as it was a farcical day in Edinburgh, to say the least. Now, my take on it first was I missed the start of the game. I had a haircut booked in, so I had to go to that. But I got in about 40 minutes into the game, and my dad said to me, well, VAR's already played a part. We've had a Tony Ralston goal disallowed. So he was telling me all about it. And of course, we come in just before half time. That's when shit was really about to kick off, because obviously there is the penalty decision that Hearts get with Carter Vickers and who was the boy that went for it? I can't remember the name of the Hearts player. Obviously, they go 50-50 ball. The Hearts player's toe does get there first, but as soon as I saw it in real time, I thought, well, VAR's in play now. It's going to get reviewed regardless. That's the way it works usually. But yeah, when I saw the replay, I'm like, he's caught him there. And then I was put in the mindset of, if that happened at the other end to us, what would I want to be the decision? So yeah, they came to the right decision, but obviously the big issue there is the length of time they took to get to it. David, I'll come to you first, mate, on that one, because yeah, that is one of the biggest. I think going into it, all of us thought about VAR's going to hold up the game so much, and Jesus, it certainly did there, didn't it?
I can't stand VAR, mate. I've hated VAR since the day they brought it in down south. I understand the reasonings why they bring it in. They want the game, to be officiated correctly, don't we? Fucking all. But that part of the game of that the water cooler talk, standing at the vending machine at what the next day, that was offside. No, it wasn't. That I love that part about football, and obviously you hate it when you're on the wrong end of those decisions. But that was just part and parcel of being a football fan. And now that it's been brought in, I've just never liked it. The point with VAR, they said, was it's meant to be for clear and obvious errors.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're spending the length of time that some of these decisions take to make, you're almost going, well, how clear and obvious really is it? And if you have to spend the length of time looking at something that is clear and obvious, for me, I thought it was a penalty as soon as I seen it. I didn't obviously see that decision in live. I had to watch it back on Sports Scene last night, and even I did go, that looked like a penalty. But to find out how long the time that it took to make that decision, it questions really the people that are behind the monitors looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I don't like about VAR, which they've now implemented into just the whole rules of the game, is they let the game play on until the ball goes out of play, like these offside decisions. For me, my biggest worry about these things is when a ball so Abada's decision, which I know we'll go, but obviously I'm jumping ahead, but I'm just using it as an example. Abada's offside decision, right?
Yep.
They waited until the ball was in the back of the net, or the ball goes out of play before the ref puts his flag up to leave it offside, right? What happens if Craig Gordon comes running? I know this is all ifs, muts, and babies, right? Babies, muts and maybes, right? But let's just, for example, Craig Gordon comes running out and absolutely clatters into Abada. Horrendous injury then occurs, and it's like, well, That should never have happened, because the flag should have been waved offside when he was offside. That's my biggest issue with the new rules and with VAR and all the offside rules, etc. I can't stand seeing something like that happen, because there's been a couple of times down south, especially, where they've allowed the game to play on despite it being a clearly obvious offside decision, and a player's been clattered into the back of it, and he's rolling about the ground, clutching his knee, and the fans are terrified that their main man's now going to be out for the rest of the season. That would never happen if the refs just waved the flag. And that's my pet peeve about the whole thing.
Yeah.
If VAR could be brilliant, I just think it's used completely wrong.
It could have. We saw that rule be implemented, I think, in the Euros last year, where the linesmen are told, if you're in doubt that it might be offside, just let them play it out, and then you can put your flag, because VAR will catch it anyway. So that's what we saw yesterday with the Abada one. But yeah, you're right, that can happen. You could have something else, like a red card worthy challenge happen in there, and then it's like, well, wait a minute, what do we go with here? It was offside in the first place, so does that not count? So there's massive grey areas with stuff like that. But yeah, Mark, obviously last night, you broke it down pretty well. Judge Kearney was in full flow, mate. Full flow, getting stuck into it. But that was a shambles of length of time.
Listen, it's actually, I mean, you wouldn't have seen it, David. You might have missed it enough. I'll see the actual penalty they got. So if Celtic broke away up the park and they were at the edge of the box in Hearts penalty area, see if Celtic had scored, that goal would have been chopped down to go back for a penalty.
It would have.
David's right. Now, I think VAR's fine. It's the people that's using it. They will revert to type. They will revert to that Rangers fan. It's within their body. They just can't help themselves. They're going to keep decisions against Celtic. Now, there was a decision in the 95th minute I seen on Twitter today that I missed it during the live game. And it was a goal kick by Joe Hart that was played up, and it felt lovely for, I think it was Abada, maybe Haksabanovic playing. No, in fact, it was Abada because it came in the right. And there was three Hearts players in front of the Celtic player by a huge distance.
Yep.
And the referees, the linesman, gave offside for no reason whatsoever.
Yep. And
then it gave Hearts the opportunity to put the ball in the box for a last ditch equaliser, which luckily didn't happen. But I've said it about 10 times, but I don't mind labouring this point. I mean, we're going to be playing against. We've now decided that it's got to be 13 men we're playing against. I don't care what MD says. It was always 12 men, I think, in Scottish football. But now it's 13. I mean, that was a handball. I mean, look at, well, even if you forget the handball, it was apparently, we all know it was, but the very first time it was used, you'd think the referee would have been nervous yesterday. He would have been probably calling everything by the book just to try and... No, there was a ball into the box. He blew the whistle, and then Ralston scored. So see, by VAR's rules, that goal cannot stand now. Because once he's blew the whistle, VAR can't act.
Yeah.
So I reckon when he's listened to it, he's maybe said... McLean's probably said to him, look, there's fuck all you can do here, mate, because you blew the whistle. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter. You can't go to the monitor because you blew that whistle. So fundamentally, the guys got it, ran straight away. It's resulted in Celtic losing a goal. A rightful goal. You can argue all day that Giakoumakis had his hands on the player. It wasn't a free kick. It wasn't a foul. It was a beautiful goal by Ralston. And the game was just peppered with mistakes all afternoon. There was one in the first half, and Ralston plays the ball up to Giakoumakis, who chips it down beautifully for Hatate. There was a player about a yard and a half in front of Giakoumakis. A good yard and a half. And it was offside. I think VR should only be used for factual decisions. Goal line technology and offside. They're facts. That's not subjective. Yep. The penalty kicks are subjective. But see, the bobbing over the line, that isn't subjective, and neither is offside.
Yep.
Use it for those two things, and I always say implement it for every game up and down the country. But we've got 6 cameras operating. England's got 33. They're making an asset. We've got 6 cameras and officials who work part-time. What do you think is going to happen? You surround yourself with clowns, you end up with a circus, and that's what's happened.
Can I ask before we move on, how many times did Nick Walsh go and have a look at the monitor himself? I know he did.
For Hearts
See-
penalty, the most obvious penalty of the day.
See, this is my. I don't understand this. Right, he's got the boy in the ear telling him that's a pen, or no, you need to look at that. I think you've got that one wrong. That's fine, but I still think, at the end of the day, he's the man in the middle. He's the one that's going to be refereeing the game. If he doesn't need to go and look at if he doesn't need to go look at the monitor, then there's no point in him being on the pitch in the first place. Just have that screen tell the players what the decisions are going to be. Because if you're saying, I think you got that one wrong, I think that one's offside, I think that's a penalty, and he doesn't go, it doesn't say, you better come and have a wee look, because at the end of the day, you're the referee, it's your decision. He's completely taken the word for it in his ear. He's just going, all right, okay, no worries, that was wrong, cool, play on.
Anything that's subjective,
Offside.
anything that's subjective. See, offsides, I think the VAR referee can call that for him. I think that's fine, because he can't make up a lie. He can say, look, he's in front of him. See if it's that close that it needs his eye, fair dues. But I think anything that's subjective, i.e. red card decisions and penalties, they have to be looked at by the on-field referee. Goal lines, the ball over the line and offside. I've not got a big issue with the referee getting told in his ear, look, to make it faster, that's offside, that's onside, that's a goal, that's not a goal. But anything that's subjective should be the man in the middle's decision. He's passed the buck there, but I think he's made him look incompetent. He's made him look like he's... Well, we all know they're bad referees, guys, let's be honest, but I'm still livid about it. I know it's 24 hours on and we won the match, but I heard somebody saying that last week on Clyde One, and they were saying to a caller that they shouldn't moan because Celtic have won 5-6-1. What you want? Like, no, regardless of the scoreline, rules are rules. If we feel like referees are, even if I'm no biased, if they're at a poor standard, we're all paying our money, we're all tuning in to watch Celtic or whatever team. We deserve to watch a sport that's played and refereed by in a balanced manner and a professional manner. And that's all we deserve. The very least we deserve.
The very least we deserve, mate, is that if they say it's 7 minutes extra time, well, we better get our 7 minutes extra time, because there was no way that clock said 7 minutes.
The same guys who were moaning last year, he scored in the 97th minute in 4 seconds, right? They were saying last year, we just played till Celtic scored for Neon, and it was like 4 seconds later Celtic scored. They wanted another 3 minutes yesterday. They said, by my stopwatch it's only 3 minutes to go. Well, we stopped watching, must be fucked, because it was 98 minutes nearly. You know what I mean?
Again, you can always rely on him to provide a ridiculous soundbite. Need danger. 7 minutes got played there. It's like, come on, mate. 97 minutes and 34 seconds in the top corner. I've seen that. Red card.
I mean, that was it. That's a red card you would only see Ibrox, and I seen Martindale saying, I was surprised it was only a yellow, but they gave the red. I couldn't believe Mark Wilson either. He was foaming at the mouth to tell everybody that it was not a penalty for Celtic. And it was Ralston should have been fucking yellow card. He was shouting balls and it wasn't a goal for Celtic. He's only cunt that thought that. No, I mean, this is ex-Celtic players. What chance have we got? What chance have we got when you've got Celtic-minded men who play for Celtic and the media shouting like that? We've not got a chance, mate.
I know. Well, the obviously the big decision and the one that's really sticking everybody's craw came just before half time, because we're already deep into stoppage time for the first half due to all the commotion with Hearts' penalty that had to get reviewed. Now, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, but out of nowhere yesterday, former English Premier League referee Mark Halsey weighed in on the debate on the James Forrest handball. Now, keep in mind, referees down in England are professionals. It is their actual job to be a referee. It's not like Willie Collum, who's a school teacher and a referee as well at the weekends. It's like, no, these guys,
and
this is their school to do. Aye, and that as well. Yeah, he's also one of them. But Mark Halsey out of nowhere yesterday just replied to like a tweet that posted the video of the James Forrest and Michael Smith incident with a handball, and just simply said, I cannot believe they've not reviewed that. So there you go. Referees from other countries outside the Scottish FA bubble are looking in now and going, what an absolute shambles. Like, they can't. In England are one of the worst countries for the VAR. Since they brought it in, they've had more trouble than anybody. I felt at times like the English Premier League have went out of their way to make VAR look bad at times with some of the way that they handle it. But yeah, I seen that yesterday on Twitter and I found that really interesting. I know that on a Monday morning on Sky Sports News, they always wheel in Dermot Gallagher, former Premier League referee, and he'll look at some of the big decisions at the weekend across the football, and I imagine there'll be a few from Tynecastle will come up on Monday. I've got a funny feeling he's going to be talking about that one and say, yeah, got it completely wrong there, because I think you can always tell by a player's reaction, they know they're in the wrong. And yeah, Michael Smith is blatantly obvious when he sticks a hand out and he knows right away, oh, fuck this here, puts his hand behind his back, and you see the look on his face, the look of panic, because he knows, I'm in trouble here. But, of course, they take 2-3 minutes to review Hart's penalty decision. But yeah, with Nick Walsh, it was like 15, 20 seconds just there with the holding.
Totally dismissed. Dismissed offhand, mate. Totally dismissed. I mean, I think if there's anything that comes out of it, I think it was Francis for the Emily Celt says, if anything comes out of this, hopefully the highlights just the utter shambles of the referee in this country. And I'll go to agree with him, because I don't think we're going to be getting fair referees anytime soon, but it might just highlight it a wee bit more.
Aye, because going into it, I genuinely was going to give them the benefit of the doubt before VAR came in, but I thought they're just terrible referees, but this might fix it. But what I saw yesterday over that handball incident is completely unforgivable. And all the fans are saying, oh, you're still being paranoid. And it's like, well, put yourself in our shoes. Imagine that happened to your team and they went, oh, no penalty. Imagine it happened at the other end and Hearts didn't get a penalty for that.
Oh,
yeah.
Listen, sorry for interrupting, mate. Can I just tell you, if that was at any other stadium in the country, for any other team wearing different colours, that's a penalty kick. But these are the kind of things that only happen to Celtic. I don't care if folk think I'm wearing a tinfoil hat. I don't give a shit. I've been watching it for years. We all have. Celtic do not get fair cracks in the whip in this country after the referees or the SFA or whoever the fuck's running the sport. We do not get a fair crack in the whip. And when Celtic call something out, it's always, oh, look at you. He's won 9 of the last 10 titles. How can it be like, no, we've won in spite of your cheating. In spite of your cheating, we find a way to win. And see, yesterday, it was so satisfying. 13 men and you still couldn't stop us.
There's Murphy saying, I think I heard you guys say this last night on PMP, the last time Celtic had a penalty in the league, you said it was April.
April.
Mad, David, do you believe that, mate?
They've had 9 in training, he says. And
9 in training.
They said that, well, according to the stats, we're by far the most energetic team. We're in the box more often than most teams, get the most corner kicks, most free kicks outside the box. And funnily enough, with our small, diminutive players, tricky players in the box, we won't have penalty. I find that very, very hard to comprehend, mate. Teams like Man City and that, who are very much similar to our style of play, obviously they're not as good. They'll get 10, 12 a season, I'd imagine. Celtic just, unfortunately, are just only the team that folk want to see win, which makes it better every day.
It does. Now, David, in the second half, obviously, there was another penalty awarded, which they didn't need to review VAR. You could see in real time, Jens clumsily bundles the player over, and you're like, well, that's a penalty. But obviously, all the farce came after the actual penalty was taken, because I didn't know what was going on originally. Joe Hart saves it, comes back to Shankland. He just lays it off to Giannelli, who puts it in the net. Now, my first thought when they were saying they were doing a VAR review was, is Giannelli in front of the play and he's played it forward and that's going to be deemed offside? You see the replay, it's kind of, but then it was like, okay, it's an encroachment. But Joe Hart's foot's on the line, so it's not the keeper came off the line. And then it's players in the box. And it's just like, this is so tedious. I mean, I don't know if you remember as well, again, just going back to some of the tedious stuff that happens with VAR. There was one a couple of years ago, I think it was in the COVID season down in England, and Man United got a penalty after the full-time whistle had went. Did you remember that one?
Aye. Yep.
Where they drew with Leicester or something, and they were all going off. They were all in the dressing room. They were like walking up the tunnel, heading to the dressing room, and the referee's like, come back, and they reviewed it and gave a penalty, and it's just like some of the mad, tedious things come from VAR. But that yesterday was, nobody knew what the fuck was going on. I was like, what is this? What's the violation here? Is Hart came off his line? Players in the box? Is Giannelli offside? Does anybody actually know? But in the end, they got to take it again, and they scored their goal from it. But Jesus Christ, man, I was pulling my hair out watching that. I was like, this is mental. What's going on here?
I was actually surprised that the ref bothered to even put it back once Hearts had scored. I always was just like, why is he bothered? It was like, I almost felt like he didn't even know why he was told to review it. I'm pretty sure Hart even was even questioning like what's happened here. Like it was a bizarre. It was just yesterday was just how can we show how incompetent, how ridiculous our officiating can possibly be? Like, and it was like this. Let's just make an absolute meal of it, and that's exactly what they've done. I'd completely accept it. I was like, right, okay, the ball's in the back net. Let's just get on with it.
Aye.
Yeah, because I had no real faith that we were. He was
It
going to save it
offside,
again.
wasn't it?
Janelli?
I
The
think
boy
he's
who
just
scored.
on.
He was
I think he's
offside,
just
aye.
on. That's what I thought at first.
Was
That's
he?
what I thought they were reviewing it. But you see the replay and they freeze it on that, and it looks like he's level, but it did initially in real time look like Shankland's played the ball forward. You must think, but no, Janelli's level with him, but he's ran onto the ball and put it in, and it's like, okay, but that was my first thought. But no, then it was like, okay, goalkeeper, is he keep off the line? No, okay, players have ran into the box. Then it's like, look, they've scored the goal. Let's just get on with it, man.
Let's just get on with it, yeah. That's just how I had felt. Because at this point, I was just sitting there like scratching my head, like, what the fuck am I watching today? I'd almost got to the point where I was ready just to turn it off and go, right, I actually can't watch it because this isn't football. Earlier we were watching the fucking Boston Celtics, no, the Glasgow Celtic, because the fucking basketball was going on in the box, and then this carry on with the ref clearly had no clue. He obviously had somebody in his ear telling him, like, we're going to have to do this again. He's probably thinking, nah, come on, let's just get on with the game.
Aye.
I think, was it because Carter Vickers and Jens had encroached? Was it them? Was it them that caused it to go back? Because if it was, they got the goal, let's just move on.
It didn't give us any advantage, did it?
No, it didn't. At the end of the day, it just gave Shankland that hat trick, and I was more annoyed at the fact that he'd gotten a hat trick against us than the fact that I was like, come on, man, just give Janelli the goal so we can crack on, because that Shankland, man.
Aye. Penalty specialist for 2 yesterday as well. It seems to be the case for him. But one of the decisions that you talked about earlier on, I just want to touch on the Abada mysterious offside. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually when VAR's in play in a game and you do get an offside, they will run a replay for the benefit of the viewers where they will bring it up on screen and they'll draw the line across the park and show you, like, you know, he's definitely offside. Yesterday, we got one camera angle of that at a viewpoint that you couldn't really tell. They literally, in the sky, they showed one replay, and it was at an angle where it wasn't looking like dead on with him. It was more at a sort of like diagonal to him. And it's like, that doesn't prove anything at all. So there was that one as well where we didn't get any sort of, because they did it with, when Hearts scored their second goal, Sky were quite happy to show you a replay to show that Shankland was definitely onside. So I know Carter Vickers was protesting that he was off, but when the ball comes across, he's actually behind the play. So they showed us that. But yeah, Bada threw on goal, and it just showed you one replay from an angle you can't
Sky
prove
for
anything
you,
at all.
mate. It's Sky's set up to. I think Sky totally is. They think it's for the establishment club. The Rangers are the most important club according to Sky. I mean, you look at the coverage. I mean, every 5 minutes, like I mentioned, Scottish football, it's mainly Rangers. When Gerrard was a manager, they were showcased every day on that Sky Sports News. My dad stopped watching it because of it. Yeah,
golden boy.
He was a golden boy, and it's not just that. I mean, the English in general. I mean, Celtic have got a sour note to them down there. You know, they love the fact that Rangers are the British club, and they love England, and everybody knows that Celtic are kind of anti everything that they stand for. So it doesn't surprise me, mate. It really does. I know they've got an obligation to give good coverage, but you look at the studio and how they'll get in. I mean, they'll ask Chris Boyd about that moment with the handball, and he would just snigger and laugh. Is that what we're paying? Is that what I'm paying fucking £50 a month for Sky Sports to watch some doughball laugh at decisions like that just because it doesn't suit his club agenda or narrative that they've pushed? I'm sick of the fucking back teeth on me, honestly.
Well, look who's joined us, guys, out of nowhere. Reegan Stevenson.
I'm joining them on my phone today, guys. How we doing? I'm just going to be here for I'm not getting picked up.
Reegan. By God, it's Reegan's music.
Reegan, he's here.
Alright, guys, how you doing?
Bus today? Busy bus.
I'm not getting
picked
up in another 20 minutes. I thought I'd join in and see you guys.
Appreciate it.
No, I mean, that VAR yesterday, I totally agree with Mark. I mean, it was an absolute for us. I mean, it was terrible.
Now, I just want to bring up a comment here, right? Because Rooster's been quite critical of us so far, talking about us being paranoid, right? This is mental. A bad was a meter off. Careful with the levels of paranoia troops. The point I'm making is normally, whenever you get an offside decision and VAR's in play, the television will give the viewers the benefit of showing us why it was offside. Sky didn't do any of that yesterday. They just showed us one angle that gave us no benefit. So we're like, is it offside? We just want to know. We just want to know for definite. That's what I'm saying. Just like every other game that you watch.
Phil. See if that's a meter, that must be an absolute stallion. Because there's no danger that's a meter, man. That Rooster, I ain't get at it.
But also, Phil, the big thing for me was that yesterday, right? See, when John Hartson said that the fact that about Celtic played against VR today, I was worrying for John Hartson's job in the mainstream media. I was thinking John Hartson's going to struggle to get a job now.
He brought it. I think
No, but I'm thinking, Mark, think about what Sky did to Graham Souness just 2 weeks ago.
About Graham Souness is an utter prick, mate, to be fair. I know John Hartson does talk a lot of shit, but I think Graham Souness... listen, one thing Sky Sports have been trying to do, I think, is kind of bleed out the football players that were 2 generations ago. See your Mark Lawrenson and all these guys that are playing in the 70s and 80s. The young folk don't associate with them. Your Carragers and your Nevilles and that, they're just about in the timeline for the young folk that are watching football now. So see, these guys are always going to be getting chased out eventually. I mean, if you ask somebody who watches Sky Sports who some of these older players played for, I don't think they would even know who they were. I think that's probably maybe get a lot to do with it. But Hartson, I think Scottish football hasn't got very many characters that they use. It's just Celtic Rangers players, and that's it.
I just mean the fact that he said Celtic played against VR today, and I'm thinking, well, Sky might not like that. You know, they might think, well...
I think he's got enough. I think he's got enough of a name for himself that he can survive that, mate. I think if they came out and said they were cheats, I think maybe Sky would get a phone call after the SFA just to tell him to calm his language down. But I back him. 13 men, without a doubt.
Sorry, Phil.
No, sorry. Because that actually leads me on. That's a seamless link, Reegan. It's almost like you read my mind. Because my next talking point was the media narrative, because that was something that I feel that we need to talk about. Because we know, and you discussed it yesterday on PMP, totally agree with you, Celtic should say something whenever we win games and we've had a bad decision against us. We should be calling out. But we know the club ain't going to do anything about it. They're not going to say anything. But of course, the fans, and as we saw yesterday, John Hartson was obviously saying his piece as well. Chris Sutton said something on Twitter. So there's pundits out there that are Celtic-minded that are going to speak up, and obviously us fans are going to keep saying stuff. But what I found interesting yesterday about the John Hartson one, because twice yesterday in the Sky studio, he made a point of, full time he says something again about the handball, where he's like, I still can't believe that's not been given. And as Mark said, he made the point about they were up against 30 men. Both times he said that, his peers in the studio laughed at him, literally. Now, I know Big John's got a bit of a bad rep with his commentary and his punditry. It's not great at times, but he's making a perfectly valid point. When he made the point about the handball at full time, Ailey Barber laughed at him and says, you're still shaking your head at that. Yes, rightfully so he is, because it was a fucking ludicrous decision, and he's right to be annoyed about it, and he's right to call it out, but they're just kind of like, don't worry about it, that's fine. Move on, John. Mm-hmm. What chance have you got?
Well, because when Celtic didn't have VAR, right, people would say, these decisions, they happen to every team throughout the season, right? But now they've not got that explanation there. They can't say that anymore. I mean, see the handball. The handball's an absolute disgrace. I mean, the fact that Steve McLean looked at that in a VAR studio at Glasgow East End and went, no penalty. He's got so many replays he can watch back at it and see it. And he can see Michael Smith's face. And then Michael Stewart's in Sportsline saying, I don't think it's a penalty either.
I bet he's been that forceful. He's been... I think we're missing the key thing that's happened here is the fact that he's been that forceful to the match day referee that he's not even bothered with the camera to see it. He's been that forceful and telling him, don't look at that. I'm telling you, it's not a penalty. It's subjective, right? So he had to look at that. And then you got John Hartson, as Phil says, sitting, calling it out for what it was. And you've got Ailey Barber. We all know where this is a Johnston fan. We all know she's a Rangers fan, that's it. Sitting there, laughing at him. I mean, has it got to the stage now where we've just to accept it? Just to accept. I don't think so. And I hope Celtic, even in private, I hope the club have even sent an email just voicing concerns, just a wee heads up, but we're not going to accept this every week, because I think Celtic fans deserve their club. The one thing Celtic can do is do nothing. That's it. We can't do nothing.
Mark and Phil, I don't know if you've seen the video on Twitter, but it's Jerry McCulloch. Now, Jerry was part of the mainstream media before, but Jerry's part of Celtic now. But Jerry basically called out yesterday and says that Celtic, they got totally hard done by, and the fact that they got 4-3 win shouldn't overshadow it. And then you've also got a Twitter video with Tom Boyd as well, and Tom Boyd's basically saying the same thing. Like, when are they going to learn that? I'm not saying they're all against Celtic. The two Hearts penalties were definite penalties, but there needs to be a bit of realisation, right? That how can they sit in that VR studio and go, that's not a penalty? How can they do that?
It's mental. I mean, I've just seen this comment here. I don't know if you've seen it. David, I'm conscious you've not spoke for about 5 minutes there, so I'll bring you on this. But I didn't know that this has been said. But the narrative BBC Scotland put out last night is that the handball was Forrest deliberately chipped the ball off Michael Smith's arm. Man, he's got some precision there, hasn't he?
No way,
Forrest, mate?
No
Such
way.
as James Forrest continues with that precision.
Was that on?
Was
that on Sports? Because I watched Sports last night, and I was quite surprised that Stephen Thompson and I can't remember the blonde pundit that was on with Michael Stewart last night. Yeah, they were quite adamant that it was penalty. Even they were laughing at how ridiculous Michael Stewart's comments were last night. They were just, obviously they were probably finding it quite amusing that we didn't get the penalty, because we know where their allegiances lie. But like, even they couldn't mask that they couldn't believe that it wasn't given as a penalty, and the fact that Michael Stewart was doubling down on the fact that he said that he completely believed that it wasn't a penalty. And Michael Stewart sometimes, I can go, you speak a little bit more sense than you used to, but he's all that's went out the window after what I've seen from him last night. But I didn't see that narrative. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see that narrative, because there will be some idiots out there that genuinely believes that James Forrest's mindset is, rather than getting the ball into the box, he's going to go, I'm just going to hit it off his arm, because that's going to get us a penalty. Like, if that's James Forrest's decision making, I'd rather he wasn't on the pitch. But we all know that wasn't his decision making. But what we do all know is that was a penalty, and the biggest takeaway I feel about this game is that game needs to be used to educate other referees on how not to referee with VAR. This game here. You're going to watch 90 minutes of football, and you're going to see countless reasons as to why on how not to referee a game using this technology, because that's all I could take away from the game. I'm really happy that we got our 3 points, and I'd aged about 10 years watching it. But my biggest takeaway was that needs to be used to educate referees, and not just in Scotland, and for UEFA in general. If they seriously want other leagues to be using that technology, they have to show that game and say that's not how you have to use this. Because all it does is completely throws the whole scenario into disrepute and make people go, no, we don't want it. We don't want that in our league. If that's how games are going to be officiated, we do not want them in our league. Whereas we're supposed to get VAR to make us go, this does benefit our game. This makes it a better spectacle. People walk away from games going, no, all the decisions that were made were correct because we're using VAR. Not going, I can't believe 4 out of 5 decisions were wrong today using VAR.
Well, I think that's like spot on there, mate. I think for the Ralston goal, the whistle was blown before the that's a no-go. That's surely that's day one when you learn how to use it, is don't blow the whistle, because then VAR can't interject. So that's it. I hope he's learned for that, right? But even if he forgive that one, I don't forgive them. But for two referees, and you can almost McLean, you can forgive because he is like staunch Loudon Tavern Rangers. I can understand him saying, "Nah, it's not a penalty." But for that referee just to accept it, knowing how high profile that match is, especially with being the first big match, and no great at the monitor, as David said, see if they don't learn from that, Phil. Where are we? We're a backwater as it is, but where are we in the footballing world that's just deemed as move on and accept it because we won? We could have, as Russell said yesterday, we won't always score 4 goals and get away with it. These decisions, I've heard for years, we've got the benefit of watching slow motion replays. Right, okay. So now yous have.
Do too.
Still making a fucking rip roaring arse it.
Do we even have slow motion? Because I didn't see a slow motion camera yesterday.
No,
we've got freeze frame.
Just 6 other cameras.
They've still got that kind of, like, you saw with the Carter Vickers incident where it was kind of slowed down, like almost like maybe like 100 fucking, I've talked about 100 clips a second. It was still slowed down to a certain extent. You saw with the Carter Vickers penalty, which I couldn't believe took because I knew it to decide. But that's one thing that people are missing out on when we talk about conspiracy theories. I've not saw one Celtic fan, and it is subjective, that hasn't said that they 2 penalties were penalty kicks to Hearts. We've all said penalty kicks. We accept it. All we want is fairness. That's all we want. We don't want a decision that going away that isn't a decision going away. All we want is fairness, and that was not fair yesterday. It was not just, and it was not done properly. And if Celtic hadn't sent a wee quiet email, then I think Celtic have let the club supporters down. And I don't give the board I've not got a lot of faith in the board. Usually I know that on this channel, but I'm just hoping Angie's reaction to some of that yesterday, a guy who's normally kind of like quiet. This isn't Lennon here. This is a guy who takes everything on the chin. If looking at his reaction yesterday, if the club haven't acted on it even quietly, then we're all fucked.
Yes.
I want to ask you guys a question, right? Because I was reading an article yesterday that one of the big reasons that we've took VR on is because so that Scottish referees can get back in and do the Europa League and Champions League games, because we've not got a proper referee that can do it. That's new because of obviously Colum and McLean have been put way down the list. So. If this is one of the big driving forces to get Scottish referees back into Europe, then that wasn't a good starting point from yesterday, was it? To be on the telly in front of everybody, and do you think UEFA are going to be sitting watching that and going, these guys are going to be great?
Well, as I said earlier on, like, an English former professional referee, Mark Halsey, out of nowhere. It wasn't like somebody tweeted him and says, "What do you make of this?" Just out of nowhere, he replied to the tweet with the video of the James Forrest incident, and was like, "I can't believe they've not reviewed that." And it's like, well, there's a referee from another league where they're all professionals down there. He's weighing in with an opinion on that decision. That's how bad it was. And it's like, well, if he's doing that, there's probably referees in other countries around the continent as well that saw that and were like, I can't believe that they've not even went and reviewed that on the screens. Can't get over that one at all.
But fault doesn't matter, mate, because see the guys that are reviewing it, these are the same guys who are going to sash bash parties in Blackpool. They're going to Mark Haley's night next week and in the Orange Halls and somewhere. These are the guys that are going to be reviewing it. Now, there should be a VAR hub. No Clydesdale House. There should be a VAR hub. And I just... Honestly, mate, I said last week, and I know I've kind of been battering on about this, but you're talking about this is guys that are going to revert to type. Their heart rules their head. I'm a Celtic fan. I wouldn't give Rangers fuck all, but I'm not a referee.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't get paid for this, mate, and they are just can't help but just be that disgusted at the fact that we're better than them. That they've got to do everything in their power to stop us.
Paul, did you see Sports Scene last night with the Motherwell and Aberdeen game?
I didn't see any of sports scene at all. I was out last night,
No.
mate, so I missed it all.
The Motherwell player gets pulled down. Now he gets his shirt pulled. Now I guess it basically rubbed off his back. And that one doesn't get referred to VAR either. That's not just Celtic point. This is Scottish football. Like the Motherwell manager said last night, how come they'll get VAR now and they still can't see the obvious ones like that? He's pulled his shirt. He's pulled his Motherwell top off of the back of him, and they can they can't go right. This is a penalty. David, did you manage to see it, mate?
No, but I'm going to have a wee look at that because I can't believe that's happened after we had such a high-profile goal chopped off against Man City for Man City only last weekend with Haaland ripped Thiago's soul out his body. So when that got, they scored a goal for that, they celebrated the whole lot, and then it got reviewed, and it wasn't even for the second phase of the game. It was the first phase. So, he completely yanked his shirt, pulled him, hauled him to the ground. Now, if you're saying that pretty much exact same thing happened in our game for Motherwell, then why?
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, we're supposed to be learning. These refs are supposed to be learning from the guys that have been doing the VAR for the last 2 and a bit seasons. When a decision like that's been made in such a high-profile game, then it should be easy enough for our refs to go, right, well, that's a very similar thing that happened in the English Premier League only last weekend, so we have to at least review it. And you tell me they didn't even review it?
No, they
it's embarrassing, man. Honestly. Don't even worry. Scottish referees won't be anywhere near Europa League or Champions League football. They'll not even make it to Eurovision. The state of these fucking refs that we've got at the minute, man. Like, if they can't see simple fouls like that, then what hope do anybody have?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the fact that Stevie Hamill could lose his job over that, and he could have got a draw from that game, and it's the cleanest pull you've ever seen. He's ripping his top off.
That's nonsense in the same. So that just proves it's not just us. But I wonder what Motherwell will they say anything about it? Will there be a statement? Who knows? Because I say my concern again regarding just the media narrative is if Celtic do come out and say something, you're going to get what you alluded to earlier. The whole the patronising pat on the head. You've won the game anyway. You've won 9 out of 10 trophies. We saw it last week where the boys at the 20-minute Tims had tweeted something about the Bernabei instant at the very end of the Hibs game where he brushed past Porteous and Porteous went down and he gave a free kick, and some journalist replied and was like, I think he's won 6-1. It's like, that's not the point. We're just calling it, even when we win. That's why Celtic should have been more consistent over the years.
So that's okay.
This out,
Sport, as I said before, how come if Celtic are winning 5-0 and it's a penalty, it's waved on, or it's 1 minute extra time, but there was a player doing for 7 minutes getting injury treatment? Yeah. Football, you've not got poetic license just to do what you want. There's rules. The referees are there to make sure the rules are done by the book. There's no poetic license to say if it's 5-0 or 6-1, just when they got a day, just start like when it gets to a certain amount of goals, just start chopping them off. I mean, at what point are we going to get to in this country where folk realise that the standard is terrible? I heard Hugh Keevins saying that making referees full times isn't going to help it. And I don't know anybody that's got worse by practice. No matter what you do, you don't get worse by practice. If you're not committed to full-time refereeing, don't do it.
Exactly. You're not cut out for it. But yeah, we'll change the subject now, but just a wee quick thing before we move on. On my bingo card, I've got Tom English as the first one to come out and give us the wee patronising pat on the head. What he's moaning about Celtic, he's always good for that. So he's on my bingo card as the first one. But no, we'll change the subject now because obviously, guys, we have got a game coming up this midweek and our European hopes are hanging by a thread. But rather than talk about a preview of it and starting lineups, we'll leave that for Russell and Jonathan. Going to bring back an idea that Reegan brought into the Sunday Blether a while back. We're going to go back and look at a classic match, guys. We're going to talk about the last time we played Shakhtar at home in the Champions League. A very, very famous game back in 2007.
I think I was there.
Back in the days when we used to win home games, guys. Remember those days we used to win home games as well? That's incredible. But yeah, we beat Shakhtar 2-1 with a very, very dramatic night at Celtic Park where Donati Massimo
Oh,
Donati
Donati.
was the unlikely hero, but it was a game that obviously helped us massively to get through to the next round of the at the time of the Champions League. But right now, the way we're sitting is we can't get to the next round of the Champions League. Our chances of having any European football literally hanging by a thread. But as well, let's go back and talk about happier times. So yeah, this game was obviously on the 28th of November 2007. And again, just a wee point. You know, Russell brings this up a lot. We talk about the disparity. People say how we can't compete at this level. This is the starting lineup that played that night for Celtic. Boric, Caldwell, Kennedy, McManus, Naylor, McGeady, Brown, Hartley, Yarisic, McDonald, and Vennegoor Hesselink. The subs that came on for Celtic that night were Stephen Presley, Massimo Donati, and Chris Killen even came on and ended the game of the park. We still got through the second round of the Champions League that year. So again, this whole disparity about we can't compete with these teams and the money they spend. It's like, look at that. Chris Killen was playing in a Champions League game that season and we got through to the next round of the Champions League. Incredible. But this game, if you remember, we'd already played Shakhtar, and in typical European fashion with Celtic, we played the away game early in the group, and of course, we got beat. If I remember correctly, they were 2-0 up in about 10 minutes that night, and it was one of those, we need to keep the score down here. I think Steve McManus and Caldwell having a shocker, but obviously, second game, it's the fifth game of the group. We've got to win to have any chance. Then in the final game, we're going to the San Siro, and Benfica will play Shakhtar at home. So we need Benfica to do us a favour, and if we can get something in the San Siro. But first and foremost, we've got to do a bit against Shakhtar. So yeah, a bit similar to what we've got coming up this week. We've got to do something again. We've got to win against Shakhtar and then hope for the best in the Bernabeu. But yeah, we got off to a horrible start. Brazilian striker Brandao scores after a few minutes. If I remember right, him and Kennedy are going for a long ball together, and he just kind of bodies Kennedy off it and then finishes it no problem. But guys, an unlikely goal hero right on half time. Yuri Yarisic, ball just bouncing for the volley where it's like a long ball across the park. He lets it bounce in front of him and he absolutely lashes it right in the top corner, guys. Absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, he kind of fell out the team at that point, so that was quite a surprise that he'd started that night. But what a finish it was, wasn't it?
It was brilliant and full, and it just reminds me of that time where Sky done the Champions League. Remember, it was the English guy that was commentating. He was just shouting the ball, and I remember that. I mean, what a goal was, and like you said, Celtic weren't really expecting much for that group, but obviously we've got this one. We've got Real Madrid after this one, so hopefully we can build on this game and then take it into Real Madrid, and hopefully they play their 16-year-olds or maybe their C team or even their B team, so we can try and get a result.
Poor Graham Bell here in the comments saying he missed Shakhtar's goal and had to leave early. So he was on night shift, so he also missed Donati's goal as well. Oh, mate, that was the first season I had a season ticket, and the scenes that night, I mean, that year we beat AC Milan with a late goal. And then for Lightning to strike twice again just a couple of months later was incredible. But the limbs, as they call it, in the stands were phenomenal. Mark, you said before we went there, you were at that game as well?
Oh, yeah, I was, mate, of course. And I remember I wasn't expecting the one up, to be honest with you. I think it was wee McGeady went down the right-hand side. I think he managed to get a kind of wasn't a very good cross in, and Donati he made an even worse connection to it, but it just managed to bounce off that. I'm sure it was pretty wet that night. It bounced off the grass and just went in the back of the net. Donati didn't score many goals for Celtic, but there was none more important than that. And the place went crazy. In fact, if you actually watch the replay of that goal, I haven't watched it, but you'll see that most people that were cheering that goal were the ones that were leaving the stadium. You see them doing the corner flag at block 101 next to the corner flag, and you see them on the actual concourse is just full of people exiting. And when he goes in there and slides or whatever he's doing, you see them all, they're all doing there, all ready to leave. It was. We did about. I think the last time we won was 9 years ago at Celtic Park in the Champions League.
Ajax at home, Beram Kayal's deflected shot.
And that was a point. That game was pointless.
That
game was finished. That we were already knocked out at that point and all. But so we've not had many victories since the heydays. So these ones are all. Was that? We did. I think James Forrest may have scored.
James Forrest scored that. It was.
Good man. But you, David, did you remember much of that Shakhtar game? My memory at 8 off. Actually, my best memory was 8-1, but the clear memory I've got is Yarisic's volley. That was a fucking cracker.
I mean, perfectly honest, I don't have much memory of the game. Didn't have Sky back then. Didn't watch much. I wasn't even watching much football back then. If I'm being perfectly honest, I've seen the clips on YouTube, and I know obviously like it was a a cracking result. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I'm actually quite confident about going into the Shakhtar game. I know it's on is it on Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday we're playing. Tuesday.
On Tuesday. I'm quite confident that we'll actually get a result on Tuesday against Shakhtar. I think that we're starting to see a bit of form coming back in terms of us putting the ball in the back of the net. So hopefully we can get a result out of that game. We're more than capable of beating that team.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I actually just feel like the whole Champions League campaign in general has been just very unlucky, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think we look like we can compete at this level. We just need to be, the form just dipped at the wrong time for us. Maybe a bit of stage fright from a lot of our players that haven't got the experience playing Champions League. Now that we're not going to be in the next stage of it, there might be a bit of weight off the players' shoulders, and we might see a bit of we might see a wee bit of what we should have been seeing in the games that actually meant something. But there's still a slim chance that we can get something, like you say, Reegan. We might, hopefully Madrid will play the kids.
Go easy on us.
And they'll go they'll go easy on us then. Even the kids, hopefully the kids will go easy on us, because that'll be some under 15 side they'll have.
Because I'm quite, I've seen it all with Celtic at times, with just the bad luck we get. And it's not even, I think every football fan must feel it about their own club, but I genuinely just think some clubs can't compete with some of the bad luck we get, especially in Europe. So I keep on envisioning the most Celtic thing that's going to happen is we'll beat Shakhtar, we'll go into the last game, we will get a battling point in the Bernabeu, which would be enough, but then news will come through that Shakhtar end up going to Leipzig and winning, and then we'd go out anyway. I just keep on envisioning something like that happening.
Well,
that would be so typically Celtic.
Just obviously got away to Shakhtar, aren't they? Because
Shakhtar, Leipzig.
Leipzig
Shakhtar the home team. So
remember Shakhtar went to Leipzig and absolutely scurried them.
Oh God!
I genuinely believe if we had played Leipzig first, we would have scurried them too, because they were woeful. They were woeful under that.
Sacking their manager, weren't
they? That Marco Rose is some manager.
See, the thing as well, boys, is that we probably should have beat Shakhtar in that first game, so that's come back to bite us in the arse.
I think we've all walked away from that game knowing that's gonna be the one that's screwed it up for us.
I'll just say to Phil, I know you're saying we're unlucky, but in a way we'll be unlucky. We've been knocked out of Europe twice and get back in through the back door because the players
we have
bringing a sub on in the 95th minute, and then we back in with FC Sion doing something. And then there's another one in my head there that I thought. It was three. I could think it was the two ones there.
Legia Warsaw and FC.
Legia Warsaw.
There was a third lucky one I was trying to think of there. The last time we get through under Rodgers, we ended up getting through the group in the Youth Cup. Is I think.
Rosenborg scored a late equaliser against.
Got a very late goal.
That's right. Aye, that was right.
So with a few lucky ones, to be honest with you, we went through a good 15-year spell where we would lose 2 goals within the first 5 minutes of every away match. That was bad management and bad composure by the players rather than bad luck, I think. We just got the good luck, to be fair. But we've had a couple of ones that, for us to get put back into the Champions League twice because of absolutely ridiculous admin errors, or if you want to call it that, is just, I think that's lucky, mate.
I remember quite a funny story about the Leipzig one where Rosenborg got the late equaliser that got us through, because we lost to Salzburg that night at Celtic Park, and we got a late penalty. Cham took it. I think he missed it and scored the rebound, but we were still going out because we were losing 2-1 and Leipzig were winning 1-0. And you know what the Wi-Fi is like at Celtic Park? It's horrendous at the best of times. And for some reason, I felt inclined to check my phone just to see if I could get the score to work, and it never ever works because the Wi-Fi is terrible. Now, I sit right at the top of the stairwell at 139, so people are filing out because there's like a minute or so to go. You know, we're beat, we're out, and they're walking over their head. And for some reason, my phone worked and the score came up on Sky Sports, and I just shouted out, Rosenborg have scored, because it came up a late goal, and everybody, like, a roommate just stopped. They're like, what? They're like, what does that mean for us? And I'm like, that means we're through. And it was like the most luckiest. I think I can pure remember that vividly. But they're all like, what the fuck's going on? Because that last week, I think it might be Rosenborg's only goal in the group as well. Because remember, they were like horrendous that group stage, and also them getting a point would have been a difficult one, but I don't think they even scored a goal until then.
Can you remember who scored that? Can you remember who scored that goal? Because I remember on Twitter we're all sending them happy birthday or Christmas, Merry Christmas or something.
What a hero. That's right.
Oh god, dude.
The Rosenborg were our pals at that point. We kept playing them every single year. I remember we kept drawing them in the qualifying round. Then we get them in a group stage.
6 times in like 12 months we played them.
Something like that, man. Sick of the sight.
Like if James Forrest scored away, like remember, and then Scott Sinclair scored when.
That's right.
When Brendan Rodgers was going through that bad spell, remember?
Aye, that's right. I remember it was the neon yellow and black kit. Scott Sinclair scores ahead of the back post. That's the one. I can remember. Closing Vision, that kit. That's what the game I associated with was beating Rosenborg away in that one. But I remember that. But you're right, Mark. There has been a few lucky ones along the way. So yeah. Maybe one of those unlucky, I think. But I just look at some of the goals that we concede and the way they like deflect off players into the net, and it's the only shot the team has on target. It goes in. It's like,
aye.
Only,
no, of course.
Only Celtic. This can only happen to us.
We're still Celtic, aren't we? We're still that team that just will find a way if a lick of paint beating us out of something important. But I mean, that's a scunner, mate. Honestly, some of the things we've missed it. When we'll look at the Zombies, they missed out in a UEFA Cup with Ryan Kent missing a chance that he will never miss the rest of his career.
Aye.
So I mean, true. At least
I still think that ball would have been out of play, though. I still think that ball would have VAR would have brought that one back. I think.
It did clearly go out of play. That's right.
Did it actually?
It did. Kamar Roof crosses it, but it's out of play.
Well, that's
good. You still missed it, Mark, and we can take solace in that anyway.
Yes.
Listen, mate.
There you go.
I thought I was going to have to leave Scotland because I think if they'd won that, I genuinely think they would have gave the schools a half day. I think there would have been a holiday. There would have probably been a gala event to celebrate. I mean, that means I think there would have been a gala event, maybe a public holiday in Glasgow. Would have had to close all the shops and everything just to celebrate that. I think and every one of them would be called Sir Gio, Sir Tav. I got it. Listen, every firstborn that was Protestant would have been called Giovanni without a shadow of a doubt. And Sir
Gio's going to be the Flying Dutchman when he gets chucked out off the roof. Ibrox at the rate he's going.
See, just before we finish, guys, I'm a bit surprised how well we've done without McGregor on the team. Last Sunday I was saying I'm a bit worried how we're not going to be playing as well with McGregor on the team, but then I think we've played more well.
Has he? I don't think he's been great this season. Reegan, do you, McGregor?
No, but I thought
you can't say that, but
I thought we're just going to miss his drive, his captain leadership. But I think we've dealt with it well, and Moyes actually surprised me. I thought he missed a terrible chance yesterday.
Yeah.
Maeda put the ball through. For people that have not seen it, but Maeda put the ball through, and all he had to do is put his foot through, and he scored. But he just.
Aye.
Oh, he just completely.
It was a criminal. It was a criminal miss. It was a criminal miss, Reegan. But I almost, when I watched, I was like, did he have so much time? Because I thought time had stopped when he was running through, and I just can't. I always go. I mean, he's a professional footballer, so he's in this situation all the time. But I can't even comprehend the amount of pressure because he knows in the back of his head he's getting a lot of criticism from a lot of this, from maybe more than half of the support, and all that's going through his head is I can get rid of all this criticism if I bury this, and he absolutely choked it. I have to say, I thought Moyes been quite good in the last few games. I don't think there's too much criticism to give. No. Yes, he's very slow, but I don't think there's much we can really. I don't think there's much to be done about that. That's just he's not going to get any quicker. He's going to get fucking slower. But he reads he reads the game well. He picks out a good pass. Blah 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 blah. But when you're given a chance like that, you got to bury it. You can't even Maeda that. We'll have to coin the term. That's a Maeda miss, that one. But he's got to bury that one. But I'm happy I was happy to see Maeda's starting to get back on putting the shite goals away. So, like,
He's heading towards that 20 goal mark that you'd said to Mr. Kelly here that he'll score this. He's on the move now. He's making movement.
What's that? 17 to go.
17 to go. Aye, still
There's
time.
plenty games
still
left.
Time.
There's still time, man.
Not one goal is been a clean strike.
No,
Is that 20 goals or not?
They all go in.
20 goals or not?
They all go in.
No
Mate. We'll take them how
competitions.
they go in. And, no, of course, Regan. Come on,
Listen,
eh?
Regan,
I'm not that brave.
Regan,
I'm not that brave to say the league.
The 20
Not
goals
confident.
his full career at Celtic, 20 more goals, and I'd have a shadow of doubt on it at some point. I think he proved me wrong yesterday, and so did James Forrest. James Forrest, I don't think it's quite the resurgence, because see his two performances that he scored the 4 goals in, his performances haven't been stupendous.
No, it's not.
So it's not a resurgence. I think he's just found the goals, and just something. If he does that every week, then fantastic. Give the guy a start of the week. But I'm not going to start saying he's above Abada yet, because Abada's come in and played. I mean, Abada came in and he should have got a hat trick last week on the back of Forrest's hat trick. I mean, I heard folks saying that, okay, that's Forrest got the jersey now. Ridiculous part. Abada's been doing it for a year and a half at a very young age.
Yep.
In big matches, he scored 3 goals against Rangers. He got 110 minutes or something. He scored a hat trick and set 2 up. The following game, scored 2 goals against Rangers and still couldn't get a game for Celtic. So
The only thing that seems to be missing for Abada's game is the creativity and on how to take on a man. When he gets into a position where he's having to take on a man, I'm never confident that he's going to manage it. It's going to be a case of can he beat him for pace? But the way he drifts about the place, and defenders somehow lose track of it. I think they almost forget he's on the pitch until he's put the ball in the back of the net 3 times. It's crazy. Do you honestly think that, Mark, that right wing is his favourite position? Was that where you want to see Abada play?
I think Abada's a second striker, mate. I think if Abada or even right behind the strikers, don't get me wrong, I think he's got the ability to beat a man on the right hand side, and his crossing isn't very good, I'm not going to lie. But I don't think we've had a good cross on the ball on the right hand side for a long time now. I think Forrest is probably the best we've had in the last few years, but David, you're right. There's probably scope for that guy to develop. Like Chris Ayer was developed into a centre back.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know the front position's a bit more fluid than that. You can see most players in the front line have got another position they can play, but I think he's maybe he's at a young age. I think maybe he's no found his actual position yet. And I think if he played as a second striker, as an out-and-out striker at McDermott Park, he scored 2 goals for Celtic. Long term, I don't fancy that, because eventually this ghost of a man is going to get picked up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you need somebody there who's going to occupy defenders next to him. But the way he drifts in, I mean, it's not just him. Like you're even seeing, I mean, Greg Taylor's goal yesterday. Now I know that was his first goal, but that's actually the first time he's come in the back post. Normally he takes a touch.
He's doing well.
I thought he was stupid. Against Motherwell, for me, he was man of the match. I thought he was
brilliant, aye.
And it was outstanding. I know Big Liam isn't a big fan of him.
He's doing all right. He's doing all right, as Liam says. He's all right.
I love that about Liam.
So I expect from our left back.
What's that?
That's what Liam expects from his left back. Pop in the back of the net, scoring the 4th goal.
A cracking Larson header he scored yesterday. He set one up, and I think the full defence looked a bit ropey yesterday. At Bernabei, he's back to being a raffle winner. I know sometimes. You know what? See, that was an audition.
You're brilliant, mate.
No, honestly, mate. I mean, he played 2 good games. Well, he played 2 games that I thought his performances were above expected.
There's Liam Curran saying he played left back, so there you go.
Well, that's it.
Liam. Show your skills, mate. Show your skills.
I think Bernabei proved yesterday that Greg Taylor is in a different planet for him.
Yep.
Tynecastle was a test for him. He's played in 2 games that Celtic should be comfortable. He played yesterday at Tynecastle, and that guy would not have got a game for Hearts. Never mind Celtic.
You South
I don't
Americans, man, they didn't want to play. They don't like playing defensive. He's never a defender.
Mate, one thing about
You
him
can
is-
tell by his game. He just obviously wasn't good enough in his youth team to play left wing, so he's been made
Oh.
to play left back. And that's
I don't
where he's
know.
ended up.
I don't think I said it before. I know folk are saying
Do you
maybe
think he's
a better
better?
time.
Do
But
you
he's
think
no
he's
way.
better? Sorry, Mark, I
Sorry.
was going to say, do you think he's better playing at Celtic Park when he's got a big pitch? Maybe.
No, I think he's better. I think he's better playing at Pollock Park. I
He's
don't. I
still
don't
going against a
wanna
big. He's
I
still
don't
got.
wanna see him
He's
to
still against a big, athletic, fast, powerful player yesterday. I think. And
David, I know
his
him- I know him
positioning was
being a
all
bit-
wrong for that cross. I think that positioning was all wrong for the cross. He looked a bit lost. He looked almost a bit intimidated at times. He looks a lot
he's
better
my
going
height.
forward than he does looking back. But that's our modern day. That's our modern day. The fullbacks that we have.
It's
football now.
never a problem. His positioning is terrible. Hamid Juranovic, the position on the park's terrible. How come Ralston and Taylor can still play Angie's philosophy and still not get caught out at the back? So it's not just about Angie's style of play. It's about the player's ability to.
Yep.
I mean, Bernabeu. I mean, just quickly on this. I mean, there's no way that guy. There's no way Angie sat in a board meeting and says, "I've got a £4 million player or whatever it costs, £3.5 million. Or good, is he going to improve the team? Well, no, I see the boy to come out of the boat for £1 million. He's still first choice. But give this guy 6 months, a year, he'll be all right. No way. He's kept himself to part to be first choice. He's turned up. He's put his zipper on. He's went to training and went like that. Oh fuck! We've bought
What
another.
needed here?
We've bought another Raphael. I don't think for him.
Mark,
I
you
don't think
just
for a minute. I don't think for a minute that boy is going to be a class act for Celtic. Don't think for a minute.
Well, you're writing him off early for me. I think.
Well,
I think you're writing him off a little bit early for me.
off, mate. Ballingall written off. Look, folks say you can't judge a player after a few games. I think that's total lies. The amount of times I've seen players and went, "Oh, he's a class act." See if you say, "Oh, he's brilliant" after one game, nobody bats an eyelid. Nobody says, "Oh, Mark, it can't be brilliant. It's only his first game." But if you say a player's
That's what I said about
no
Maeda.
quite at a level, what's that?
That's what I said about Maeda. When he
to
scored
play
after 2 minutes.
He did
play
actually
devil's
score
advocate,
2
Mark.
minutes into his debut. That's right.
to play devil's advocate, Mark, he set up the winning goal for the St Johnstone game.
I've already said, Reegan, I've already said on the Johnston, I think it was me and you were on, I said what a ball that was. And I actually praised these two performances. But I know he's not had a lot of game time, right? But he's probably had about 10 appearances, right? And his appearances for Celtic, he has not impressed anybody. I don't even think his man Dad's even impressed in how he showed himself. No, he might come into a game next season, but there's no way he's not got a Doug's chance in hell, sorry, of being first choice over Greg Taylor. He's nowhere near the level of that boy. That boy is in a different planet.
To play devil's advocate with Reegan, what would we? I mean, I don't want to use Ralston as an example all the time, but like I remember being more than happy to see the back of Ralston
Yes.
a couple of seasons ago, and then it's taken him. So he was obviously given the benefit of the doubt in the time by Ange to prove us wrong. Do you not feel that Ange can get the same tune out of a Barnaby? Obviously, I wouldn't want to see Barnaby wait 4 or 5 seasons to get a tune out of him. But he is only how old is he? Is he 21, 22? Still a young lad. Do you not feel like we need to give him the time to? At the end of the day, Greg Taylor
is that young?
We all know, has he given himself? There's no been any point in so far this season that I think Greg Taylor deserves to lose his place from Barnaby, despite how expensive a player he is. You look at let's look at that Darwin Núñez at Liverpool, who's looks like he's another one that's going to take some time to adapt. But despite the 80 million or whatever it is that they've paid for him, Firmino's playing out his skin right now, and he's keeping him out the side. Do you think it's just a case of, and also bear in mind he's a South American player, do you think it's going to take a bit of time for to adapt to the British style of play? Do you want to factor all these different things into maybe why we're not seeing the best out of a £4 million signing? Or are you quite happy just to get him at the club? I'd rather just cut our losses now, and we've maybe got a boy in the youth team that can fill that second choice left back position.
Me?
Yeah, you, because you're the one with the issue here, Mark.
Don't take my words like serious. You know what I mean? All my words. I just don't think. To be quite honest with you, I'd rather see him if he's not going to get game time. I'd rather keep him as a backup until we find somebody who is of a level, or even give him one season in loan, maybe to a strong Aberdeen. You know what I mean? Let's see what he's capable of doing. At the moment, he's no first team ready. I don't think he's first team ready. I always say, my brother Ryan said it to me before when we were on another pod. He said, if anybody's arguing the case for a player, asking the question, would they be happy if that guy played at Ibrox in a must-win match? And that answers your question. That's if you get dousing a player, they come to fruition when you say, like, do you know what? If you're in a must-win match, you go to Ibrox, would you trust them to put a performance in? And for me, I would trust that boy going to Ibrox. I think yesterday was an audition for him to get good game time in a very tough place, in a back four that wasn't performing well. Let's see what you can do. His defending wasn't as bad as what it normally is. His distribution, he was losing the ball at every opportunity. He was panicking. It was just. Now I know we could say, "Oh, that's his third start in like 3 weeks." If you're no up to the standard after what we're in October now, so he's been at the club for about 4 months. If you're not up to what Angie's asking you to do after 4 months, and you're panicking because somebody at Hearts who's probably came for the English second division is running at you, then you're not good enough for Celtic, mate. I mean, Tynecastle is a tough place to go to. I understand that. I mean, there was 56 other reasons to say Celtic have had a tough day yesterday with the VAR and all the rest of it. But it just, if you're asking me, just see if he was, I'll ask you three. See if he was on loan at Celtic and the decision was made tomorrow to cut him loose or give him another 6 months, what would you do?
I'd give him another 6 months, mate, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Fair enough, David. What about you, Phil?
I couldn't judge him that quickly. It would have to be give him a season. But if you're going to ask us, would we sign him full time based on that? At the moment, the jury would still be out. I'd be like, I need more. I need to see more.
Fair dues, mate. I hope I'm wrong. Reegan, what about you, mate? Would you buy him?
I would say he's a bit of a project kind of signing.
That's what I said when he just came. I said he's a project player. But we don't sign £4 million projects. And see, 22-year-old, I think someone said, that's a young player. Your career is 10, 12-year-olds, 10, 12 years. He's a quarter of the way through his career already. He's not a young player. A youth player is 19, 18, no 20, 22. We've got Turnbull's 21. By 22, we probably had Gary Hooper scoring 80 goals for Celtic, you know. 22 for me, a youth player for me is under the age of 19, 20.
Yeah.
You make me sound old at 24 here. You make me sound old, mate.
Well, see, 24-year-old at a football club, you should be in your 5th season, mate, or even your 4th season as a professional. But it's not about, listen, I don't want to see him go. Listen, I know sometimes I just say things just for a wee bit of dramatic and have a laugh, right? He's no won a raffle. I don't think what I've seen so far, he's good enough for Celtic. That's all I'm saying. I mean, the players come in out of Celtic every year that aren't good enough for Celtic. I mean, just my opinion, mate. Two good performances.
Fair. No, it's totally fair. It's totally fair to have that opinion.
It's just,
and Marcus, you always say,
I don't dislike the man or anything. You know what I mean?
You always say you want to be proved wrong. You always say that. You've said it many times on the bus about players when you say these type of things. You're more than happy for them to prove you wrong. That's the whole point.
But yesterday, Maida and Forrest made a cunt to me yesterday. Do some. See if Maida scores 40 goals, and they'll not be a happier guy in Glasgow than me.
Oh, David will be happier than you, mate. Oh, he's
David
not Glasgow, technically speaking. David backed him for 20 goals.
The whole of Scotland. The happiest man in all of Scotland and Japan.
All of Scotland. So, and listen, seeing he scored that goal yesterday, I was hitting the ceiling celebrating.
Of course, you don't care who puts the. If it's a player that you despise, not that you despise any players at Celtic, but even if a player that you despise, that you can't stand being in the team, you see his name in the team and you cringe, but he puts the ball in the back of the net, you're not going to be sitting there no celebrating because it was
Anthony Stokes. Like Anthony Stokes. I can't take to that guy at all.
Do you know like Stokes now?
No, could take them a
I quite like the Stokes and
Germany.
Hooper. The Stokes and Hooper combination, I like that. I mean, two up front, they kind of bish, bash, bosh, but
That just reminded me of the clip there where it was on Arsenal Fan TV when England had their run to the final last year in the Euros, and there's one guy on Arsenal Fan TV, Lee Judges, and he hates Harry Kane, so obviously a Tottenham player. Harry Kane's obviously scoring goals for all the way through that tournament, and everyone else in the room's all celebrating, just sitting there like that.
That's pathetic, mate.
Nah, not going to celebrate. And I was like, oh my God,
Well,
someone going to say that. That just reminded me of that.
Celtic, right? I support Celtic. See if I need to be careful if I say this because this could start the comments going mental. But see if we signed the most despised player that Rangers have got, and he scores 50 goals for Celtic. I wouldn't care what name's in the back. It's a badge in the front. It's not the name in the back. It matters to me.
It's the Celtic shot puts the ball in the net.
Mate, listen, I get bad eyesight, as you know. See, almost every time Celtic score, I always ask Alec, who scored there? He'll go back to me, always. I'm like, fuck, I thought it was Griffiths. I mean, that's how bad I am. You know what I mean? Like,
Phil, a wee bit of laugh.
Yeah.
A wee bit of laugh, Phil. Gerrard's ex-team Aston Villa are 4-0 up at home.
Michael Beale in charge, is he?
He's Michael Beale.
Michael Beale.
Did he sneak in the door?
Parachuted in to save the day.
I wondered if I heard he said that he wasn't quite all that ready to dive into an EPL job. I wonder if the Rangers job is his next step. And I'll tell you something, if he gets the Rangers job, and I did actually hear him when he left Rangers, he says it's a job that he wouldn't turn down. But they all say that. But see if he came to Rangers, I think they would build something under him. I genuinely think that guy is one of the best coaches there is. I mean, even when he was at Rangers, I said that guy is utter class. I think he had Celtic's number. He didn't have the players, but he had Celtic's number. And eventually that caught was that he was. I mean, even when you watched him, Gerrard was listening to him. He wasn't talking to Gerrard. They weren't talking to each other. He was listening to him.
Yeah.
And I always felt that boy's just got something about him. And I'm surprised that 1 or 2 years under Gerrard, he decided just to go out on his own and take a job. I think if he gets offered the Rangers job, I think his bags are packed because he would see that as the next step in his career. I don't think he's the kind of guy that would not back.
How long did he work with Gerrard? How long was he working
Rangers?
Just
the Rangers, I think.
Aye, so he heard him, but I think he heard Michael Beale, but I don't think he listened to him because there was the biggest takeaway that I seen with the criticism from Villa fans and just on the pundits about Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa is they had no identity. They didn't know what formation they were meant to be playing. They didn't know what kind of style of football they were playing. Whereas
he's left Villa though. Ages ago.
I know this. But that's what I'm meaning.
Aye.
When obviously when they had Beale there, I felt Rangers did have an identity. They did have and Villa at the time when they did go, there was a bit of an identity to the way they played. But as soon as he's left, that's what I'm saying. He maybe have heard Michael Beale, but I don't think he ever listened to him because as soon as he left, there was all the advice, all the tutoring, all the teachings that was there. It completely disappeared with him off the QPR.
I think managers earn their wages with their in-game management, and some managers just having to go to it. Like I always thought Brendan Rodgers was the best in-game manager I've ever seen at Celtic. Better than O'Neill and the rest of it. His reactions to things on the park was superb in my opinion. He always reacted the right way, made the correct subs. You know what I mean? He always, fairly focused, and maybe Bale was that man at Rangers who was reacting to things and probably did the same. And Gerrard was just taking his advice, but as you say, maybe no learned from it. Just took the advice for what it was, but never actually learned what the guy was actually doing. I think Gerrard's been found out. How he got a job at Aston Villa, well, I don't know because they'll just see it as England's son winning a league in Rangers.
Powell's the sporting director, I think, as well, is he not?
He's just came in and says apparently turned down 100k a week at Wolves. No danger, he's going to Rangers.
Sorry, but the reason why he turned it down, well, I'll give Russell one because we spoke about this. The reason why he turned it down is because he said he wanted to no dive into an EPL job yet. I've said the boys before, if a team like Aston Villa comes in and says to Ange, you're getting 200 grand a week, he's away. He's away before they've even given him the contract. He's in the plane. He's away to Birmingham. But
Sorry, guys, just
but I've heard
to
folks
jump
saying
in.
like,
Are we?
Stuart Armstrong just scored against Arsenal.
I see that the corner of my eye when you mentioned Brendan Rodgers there, and you said that Stuart Armstrong scored, and I thought there's a player that had a resurgence under Brendan. He's literally just equalised for Southampton against Arsenal. Nice wee goal as well, to be fair.
right, so
And
if
Brendan
money's what matters, and there's no a long-term ambition for like, or a long-term kind of goal for people, then on the same premise, Ange would fuck off in a minute, I know it, and he would fuck off.
aye.
I don't think Aston Villa would look at Ange. They should, but they'll know.
They won't. I'm so confident that when
They will
we
not.
see that, when we see it a lot in the Boise Bus group chat, when we see a manager's been, it looks like he's about to get sacked or he has been sacked, I say, do you think Ange will be one of the favourites? I just go, he'll not, because as much as I believe that Ange is a top manager, down south they don't. They right now they don't care if Ange wins a treble this year. They'll just go, well, you should, because that's the ignorance of English football. Well, you should win. And I certainly don't think Villa are going to look at Ange, because they've already done the Scottish manager experiment and it didn't work. So I don't think they would bother again. There's far too many high-profile managers out of a job now that English teams will look at before they even have a gander at what Ange Postecoglou is doing. If I'm being perfectly honest, I don't agree with what I'm saying. I don't agree with what I believe their thinking is. Like, I think they should be looking at Ange Postecoglou. Thank fuck they're not.
Yeah.
But when I don't concern myself when I see a manager losing a job in England right now. Wolves have tried Michael Beale. They've tried that boy in Spain that chose not to leave due to personal reasons. He turned down Wolves. They're still not even seeing Ange Postecoglou's name being mentioned. I just don't see it happening. Not anytime soon. But whether if he did get asked, if the question did get asked, I would be a bit concerned, because at the end of the day, money talks, and as we all know, what Ange just said about what he believes, he's made it quite clear. He still has things that he wants to achieve in the game, and I don't believe for a second he's never went, I'm not bothered about the Premier League though.
18 grand a week or 110 grand a week. His wife would pack his bags. He could say to his wife and say, "I've been offered 110 grand a week. I'm getting 18 at Celtic." There is
packing all those jumpers.
Danger. He's going to say no to that. It's almost a fact. He'd be away.
Would you be worried about a championship team? Would you be worried about a championship team?
They could offer close to that money, but I think he still sees Celtic as a project he wants to work on. I really do. I think see if he was 45, 46, I think he would take a championship job to try and bob his way into the EPL. But he's 57, 58. I think he's just turned. Listen, man, he probably sees like his next move, if he gets one, to be a big league. I don't think a championship would interest him. But if the next Newcastle was a championship team and offered them 300 grand a week, he'd be away in a fucking heartbeat. Don't let anybody tell you that money doesn't matter. Ask Kieran Tierney if money matters.
True.
Yeah.
Because see what's happened to me the last couple of days when Gio's been under flack. I'm thinking myself, I've kind of changed my opinion a bit, right? Because I thought Gio's only 4 points behind me, still, right? So say Celtic, right? Say Celtic go on a bad run there, they draw a few games and they lose one a game. People start turning on Ange, and then it's okay us saying, "Oh, Ange when you leave," but then we can be fickle as well. We might want Ange we might say Ange might get the sack if he loses a few games. So it works both ways. Do you know what I mean? So Ange might say, "Well, I'm doing well there at Celtic, but if I lose a couple of games, I could do it."
I had to laugh on that DVD, the Ange DVD. It's not a Celtic DVD, the Ange DVD, and they mentioned about even the Celtic narrator said about being sacked for Christmas. Now let's not forget, when we went to Pittodrie, he just lost three last away games, three games in a row away from home, 1-2 out of 5, knocked out of Champions League qualifiers. See if you don't get that 83rd minute winner after Jota, I think it was, or however it was in
Up
Aberdeen.
at Aberdeen. Aye.
Aye, that is a shaky peg. That is a shaky peg. You know what I mean? Thank God the guy turned it round, but let's not make any mistake about it. The sliding doors moments in football, I speak about it all the time. He won that match, and the Celtic fans really bought into it. They gave him full focus. We gave him full. But it wasn't all roses for Ange these first couple of months. Let's be honest. I mean, there was talk of him going in December for an actual reason. Last year, I mean, it didn't start too good. It didn't look too hot.
See if I'm not mistaken as well, see if we'd have lost that game to Aberdeen, that'd have been 9 points. So the fact that it was only kept at 6, that was the whole point. It was so big for us. Because if it had been 9 points, Rangers would have won that league.
Oh, they've won that league, man. Definitely. And to be 6 points behind after 6 games, 9 points behind after 6 games, that is John Barton's territory.
Aye, it's true. Well, as Reegan says, though, at the moment, he's under a lot of pressure over the other side of the City, being just forward side. Let's hope it continues to grow from 4 points and gets bigger and bigger, and we can keep pulling away from them. But guys, this Sunday Blether's went on for an hour and a half, guys. So
oh God,
yeah,
nearly Monday.
Yeah, it's nearly Monday. I know.
It's a Monday club is big on Jono.
We done a podcast a few weeks ago that started in September and ended in October. So I mean, we're pushing those boundaries. But
we might as well just stay on and get a few cans and just chill.
I don't have any cans in the house, mate. I know, but no, I need to we'll look to. I mean, maybe I put that Shakhtar thing in as the sort of, we'll end on the Shakhtar classic game thing, but that's what happens on the bus, guys. We go down different roads and different tangents and this, that, and the next thing. But it's been an eventful one anyway, guys. So Reegan, as this is Reegan Stevenson Sunday Blether, do you want to say anything to the viewers? Any last word or anything? Do you want to sign off for us?
No, well, I just hope Celtic get the job done. Hope Celtic get the job done on Tuesday. And sorry I was late, guys, and it was great to join you.
I don't worry at all. I just a reminder, there's 126 people watching live to finish. So remember to comment, like, share, and all that other good stuff that I say every single time.
There you go.
So yeah, make sure you do it because we appreciate it massively. And yeah, guys, we are out of here. So Monday Club tomorrow with Russell and Jono, and catch you all later, guys.
More the Celtic.
Deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.